said that wasn't going to be covered.
Hi, everyone. We're here tonight to do the Cosette cards. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. I was trying to get dinner started so it's not so late after class. And of course, I had a spill, so I'm just going to hang on a few more minutes to make sure everybody's here. All right. As usual, I tried to keep the cards in the order we're going to work on. So this one is first. So if you could get out your card kit and put this one at the top of the stack, it's the biggest piece of cardstock, so it should be easy to spot. And you can get out your Picture My Life cards, and you can start looking for the cards if you'd like. We're going to use this big 4x6 one with the flowers on it. This 3x4 one with the doilies. And then this pink one that says Life is Made Up of Moments. And I'm not sure what size that one is right now. Let me see. That one is a 4x6. So I am just getting my pieces out too. I'm grabbing my paper cutter because we're going to be cutting some cards. And hi, Kathy. Glad you made it, no matter who your identity is today. Okay, and gonna need your scoreboard, and nope, it'll fit. Just checking to see if the small one will work. You can use either the small one or the big one. I'm gonna take my bigger one out so I have both handy. Okay, so this is a larger format card. And then the standard A2s we usually use. It's fun to make something bigger every once in a while. And this one is particularly large because it's 5.5 by 8. But it makes a nice impact, I think, and we get all those. We can use the full card, a couple of the full cards, which is why I went with the larger size. So I'm just opening up my PML cards, and oh look, they're right next to each other towards the end of the stack. These are the other sides. The Moments is white, and the Bouquet is brown on the sides we're not using. So you might notice those in the stack first. And it looks like the doilies are close to the end of that stack too. So, okay, so this class might take a little while because there's a bunch of cards, but they are relatively easy to put together. It's just, you know, the time that takes to do them. So I understand if you you know, have to duck out, but the video will be up for whenever you want to use it. I'm just going to get a couple things out of the way here. And okay, so like I said, this card is 8 by 5.5. So that means we're going to put the 11-inch side of the cardstock in the scoreboard. And I'm just confirming that they're very close. The two shades of cardstock are very close, but we are going to put lighter side up in our cardstock. And we are going to go ahead and score at 5.5 inches. And we will fold and burnish. Okay. And we will go ahead and cut this card so that we have all our pieces ready to go. These two cards are going to go on full size. The Moments is the only one we're going to cut. And then, of course, we'll have our cut pieces of glitter paper, but I already cut those for you. So those should be in your envelope, these two little pieces. And I'm not well organized today. I got things on top of other things that I need. Okay, so when we cut our Moments card, we're going to put it in our paper trimmer. We are going to cut the top of the card off. So that means you're going to put it in with the top to the right past the blade because we're cutting the top off. We're putting the bottom on the ruler and we're going to put it at 3 7/8. For those who need a little reminder, that's between 3 3/4 and 4. So we're going to make the cut there. So we cut the top off. So the card measures 3 7/8. We're then going to turn it around 180 degrees, put it back in the trimmer, and we're going to put the top of the card now, which is on the left, at the 1.5 inch mark and cut. So essentially, we're getting rid of the extra space. We just want the words, and you know, we cut between the words and the line, that second cut. Now save these pieces because I probably use them again. Yeah, I made these samples so long ago that I don't remember which pieces I used and didn't use, but as usual, I used most of the pieces I cut off. So we want to, at this point, save everything until the end, and then you can decide what you want to keep and what you want to throw out. All right. So we're going to put the doily. Oops, I grabbed two at the same time. We're going to grab the doily PML card first. Want the blue side showing. The official name for that blue is Mist. The name for this cardstock we're using is Seabrook, and it is my new favorite color. It came out this past year, and I hadn't used it a lot, but it's a nice soft color, and it goes with a lot. And we're going to place this, and actually I turned it. It probably doesn't matter, but I have this big doily in the top left corner, and we're going to put it in the bottom left corner of the card so that there's an 1/8 inch border on the left side and the bottom of the card, of the PML card. These two colors are also used in the Sweet Tweets workshop, if you got that one. Okay, so next we're going to put on our floral bouquet. These cards are so beautiful. The artwork on them. I really loved making these. All right, so now we're going to move to the top right corner of the card. And we're going to leave that 1/8 inch border again at the top and on the right side of the card. And that overlaps the doily card. Next, we're going to put on our moments. And everything on this card is put on flat with regular double-sided adhesive. There are a few cards I made with foam tape, but a lot of these cards are flat. Okay, so I am going to place this so that we're going to cover up the stem, but we want to see the stems of the flower, but we want to see these 3 bottom ones. This 4th one is a little shorter, so that won't work. So when we place it, we're going to put it so that it's about 1/2 inch from the right edge of the PML card and about 1/2 inch below the top edge of the doily card. And those measurements are approximate. You do not have to put them in the exact same place. But when I put it, I played around with it a lot, and I just wanted to make sure that those bottom stems were showing because it kind of grounded the bouquet. So that's how it works. All right, and so next we just have these 2 pieces of glitter paper. This is the mulberry color, which is the same. Mulberry is the background color of this Moments card too. And it's glitter paper, so it does not have adhesive on it. So that means we have to add the adhesive to it. And these pieces are about 1/4 inch wide by 3 inches long. So if you're careful, you can use your 1/4 inch tape runner to put adhesive on it. Or if you don't feel comfortable trying to get that on exactly straight, you could certainly use a thinner tape, like the Wonder Tape or Miracle Tape. You can use an 1/8 inch wide. It'll hold plenty securely, and you don't have to worry about tape on the edges. So the first piece is going to go on the left edge of this floral card, and you're going to center it between the top of the card and the top of this card. And I'm butting it up right next to the card there. And there's about equal amount of space up there as down there. And then at the bottom, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to butt it up against the bottom edge of the bouquet card and center it left to right. And that just gives our card a little extra glitz. So super easy, and a card that can be used for a lot of different occasions, as most of these cards in this collection will be appropriate for. And none of your envelopes should have a ton of pieces in them, because most of them are going to come from your PML cards. So this is our next one. We've got peach cardstock. And we're going to go through our PML cards, and we're going to find this kind of wood look background. It's the same on the other side. It's just the stripes are going the different way. I don't want to go one vertical and one horizontal because it depends on how you use the card, but we are going to use it with the brush strokes going the long way and hold it horizontally. And then, so that's the only large size card we're using. We're going to use, it's actually the first card in the stack, this Life is Better With You. We're just going to use the orangey side, which is papaya. And then, oh, it's just the third card in is this circular wreath with the peach background and the papaya flowers. Okay, and then we have our strip of glitter paper. So let's go ahead and score our cardstock first. And again, we're going to use the lighter side. This is the darker side, the lighter side. This one, you can see a little more of a difference. I'm going to put the lighter side facing you into your scoreboard. I don't know why I'm having a trouble remembering that name today. You're going to put the 11-inch side in at the top, and then you're going to score at 5.5 inches. Go ahead and burnish. Okay. And then we're going to cut our cards. So let me just scroll down on my directions here. Okay, so on the wood grain card, we are going to make some room here. We're going to put our card in the long way, and I put the darker corner at the bottom right. It doesn't matter, it's up to you. That's what I did. And we're going to put this in at the 5 1/4 inch mark. If you have this paper cutter, the 5 1/4 is the end of the white background of the measuring area. And so essentially we're cutting 3/4 inch off that card to make it 5 1/4 inches wide. Save that strip. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. And then we're going to put the other side in. It's 4 inches wide. We're going to put it at 3 3/4. And so we're just chopping off 1/4 inch, and then save that piece as well. So there we go. And now we're going to cut our Life is Better With You. I'm And we're just going to trim off some of the background to make it fit on the card better and let us show off more of this beautiful wreath. So we're going to put it in with the top of the card to the left and the bottom of the card to the right, past the blade. We're going to cut off the bottom of the card. We're going to put the top of the card at the 3 1/8 measurement. So we cut off the bottom of the card under the U. So now the card is 3 1/8 inches tall. Going to turn it around 180 degrees. So now the top of the card, the life portion, is now to the right towards the blade. And we're going to put that at 2 5/8. So we're cutting the top of the card off, and now the card measures 2 5/8 inches tall. And we are not cutting the sides of that. So that's all we need to do. And now we can assemble. So again, I held, doesn't matter, it's just background, but I did put that darker corner in the bottom right of the card because it was it's kind of the darkest color. It feels heavy, so I didn't want it in the top corner. So again, it won't make a huge difference, but that's what I did. And so this gets centered on the card base, and you'll have an 1/8 inch border all the way around. Okay, and then our wreath card goes on next. We're going to put the adhesive on the back, which is gray. And this is going to get put in the top right corner of the card. You're going to leave an 1/8 inch border of the PML card. So you actually have two borders now. You have an 1/8 inch of the card base, the peach color, and then you have an 1/8 inch of that wood grain, and then the card. So you've got those two borders on the top and the right of the card. And then we're going to put the Life is Better Than You card on. Okay, and this one we're going to leave a slightly larger than 1/8 inch. I'd say it's about a 1/4 of an inch on both the left and the bottom. So you've got a 1/4 inch of the wood grain and then an 1/8 of an inch of the card. So there's 3/8 inch double border on the left and the bottom. And that's just to keep it a little more interesting so it's not quite so symmetrical. And then we've got our glitter paper. This is Desert Rose glitter paper. So we have to add the adhesive to it. Again, it's a 1/4 of an inch wide, so you can fit your 1/4 inch wide adhesive, or you can use a narrower adhesive, or you could also use liquid glue, just a small bead of it so it doesn't shoot out too much. So we're going to put this, it's 3 3/4 inch tall, so it fits exactly the height of the wood grain PML card. Again, you're going to leave an 1/8 inch border of the peach background of that wreath card, and then put your strip from the top and bottom of the wood grain card, whichever. I started at the bottom, but you can start at the top if you want. And then so it doesn't overlap the peach card border. And that's that one. I will leave a couple of these out in case you have to catch up until I run out of space, which will be soon, but okay, so the next card is also on a peach card base. However, we're going to use the darker side this time. We'll use the lighter side on this one. This one will use the darker side. Ignore this cutout shape. Yours should be solid. Your piece of cardstock there. And then you've got your Desert Rose glitter paper. And it's a wider strip this time. And we just need to find our PML cards. And so this one, easy to find. It's right on top of the stack of the larger cards. We're just going to flip it over and use the horizontal lines if the 4-inch side is at top. And then we're going to look for our, it looks like a stamp with a bouquet on it. And it's the second to last one. The bird was facing up in my stack, so you're just going to turn that over and you'll find that. So we can go ahead and score our cardstock. Again, it's 11 inches wide, so we're going to score at 5.5 inches. The darker side is facing you. This workshop allowed me to use a lot of cardstock colors that I haven't used in the past, haven't been in the collections we've used, so it was nice to try out some of these new colors. Or not necessarily new, but new to me. I don't know. Colors I haven't used in a while. There were so many colors that you've got a wide variety here. Okay, so next we're going to cut our PML card, and we're only going to cut the large one. So we are going to we're going to actually cut it the exact same way as the last card we cut, that wood grain. We're going to put the long side in. Now, when you put the long side in, well, it won't matter till the end, but your stripes should be vertical in the paper cutter. 6-inch side at the top. We're going to place it at 5.25 inches, which will allow us to cut off 3/4 inch. Then we're going to turn it around 90 degrees. And we're going to place the other side at 3 3/4 and cut off that 1/4 inch. So this will give us the exact size. I was looking to see if there was a a difference in the color and the stripes on each side. I don't think so. So, sorry, like I was saying, this will give us the exact size to center onto the front of our card, leaving us an 1/8 inch border all the way around. And this is a vertical orientation card. Now we're going to take our papaya cardstock and we want the darker side. And like I said, your piece should be solid. I am simply using this piece because I am conserving cardstock. It just so happened that when I took this out of my paper collection, the shape was cut out. You might recognize it from a previous workshop. But this size was actually perfect. And if I put my card over there, you don't actually see that shape. It's hidden. So why not use it, right? Conserve cardstock, because none of us have enough cardstock in our collection, right? So I just ran out of adhesive. So I need to replace this quick. All right. Just have to be careful about how I put my adhesive around this opening, since, I mean, it is going to be covered up, but don't want to get adhesive all over my map. Okay, so this piece of cardstock is 5 1/4 inches long. So it is the, I mean 5 1/2. So it is the height of the card. So you're going to put it from top to bottom of the card. I'm just going to turn mine because I can see better. And you're going to center it left to right, or in the direction I currently have turned, it looks like top and bottom. So you're going to go ahead and just center it right on there. And then we're going to put our floral stamp on there. And we're going to use our standard 1/8 inch spacing. So we're going to have an 1/8 inch at the top, the left, and the right. And then all of the extra space will be at the bottom of the card. I'm giving myself a little extra space at the top because of the positioning of that opening. But yours will be right, 1/8 at the top, the left and the right. Which means it's pretty much in line with the PML card behind it, the background of those stripes. I just want to see something here. Okay, I just got worried for a minute because sometimes I would, you know, if you want to save more of this stripe in the future, I know you've already cut it now, but you could always just cut off a strip of each of them and place it there. And then I had the feeling like, oh my gosh, did I do that? We needed the card somewhere else, but I did not do it, so it's okay. Panic moment. This is what happens when I make the cards so far in advance, but I had to be able to get the supplies in time. So now we're putting on our glitter paper. Again, this is the Desert Rose. We need to put adhesive on our glitter paper. And this we're going to go, again, it's 3 3/4 inches wide, so it's the width of the striped PML card. So it's going to go left to right across that width, and you're going to center it between the bottom of this stamped card and the bottom of the card base. And my piece of cardstock is a little bit long, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that. When I have to trim it after I already put the adhesive on it, I put it in the paper cutter upside down so that the adhesive doesn't stick to the base of the paper cutter. It sometimes just sticks there, and then that's a lot easier to pull off. So that's better. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. And there you go. I'll show you this one because the spacing is more accurate on that one. Or what I told you to do. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go back to a larger format card. This is a 5x7 card. And all of these cards do take standard size envelopes, so you don't have to worry about that. You have to purchase the different sizes, but they're not hard to find. Okay, so actually these bouquets are the same. They're just got different backgrounds. So we have our large piece of cardstock for that. That's papaya colored. And your strip of desert rose glitter paper. You will go back and retrieve this piece of 1/4 inch wide trimming you took off of the card for the last card. We're going to use that here. And then we need 3 more cards. Oh, the 2 of them are at the bottom of the stack. And that's the big bouquet here. And then this green, let me tell you a story. And then the top of the stack are these 3 butterflies. We're actually going to use this size. And let's go ahead and assemble the card, and then we'll cut these butterflies out because it'll give us a little more workspace once we assemble this card. Your workspace is probably cleaner than mine. Okay, so we're going to start with our papaya cardstock. We are going to use the darker side. So when you put it in your paper trimmer, you're going to put the 10-inch side along the top, and you're going to score it 5 inches. Fold and burnish to get our 5x7 card. Assembly on this one is really easy. Not that they've been difficult, I don't think, but the first thing we're going to do is I just like to confirm with my instructions to make sure I'm not telling you something different. So we're going to go ahead and put the adhesive on the back of this. We are using this card just for the color, just for the pop of color. So we're going to put it in the bottom left-hand corner of the card, leaving an 1/8 inch border at the left and the bottom. And then we're putting on our floral card. And we're going to leave a 1/4 inch border. Or really, let me see what I told you. I think maybe more of a 3/8 inch. Nope, I did say 1/4 inch. Okay. To get a little more of that green color. That color is called pine. Okay, so now we're going to put our other little pops in the top right corner. So we've got our Desert Rose glitter paper. Put adhesive on the back of that. Got some overhang here because I didn't steer quite straight with that. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to line up the right edge of our strip of glitter paper with the right edge of our card, our floral card, and we're going to center it top to bottom in that space of papaya cardstock. So it should be, you could start on this side because it should be the width of your card, although my piece is just slightly longer, but not enough that I'm going to cut it. So I started here, so to make sure those edges were lined up, and you're centering it in that space of papaya cardstock. And then we're going to do, similarly, we're going to attach our stripes. Now in this case, we want these really skinny horizontal stripes. So we're going to put our adhesive on the back. And we're going to line up the top of this strip with the top of that glitter paper. And again, as we bring it down, center it in the space of papaya cardstock. Whoops. So the only thing we have left to do is to add the butterfly. So we're going to cut out these 3 butterflies because we are going to use the other 2 on other cards. So we might as well cut them all out now, and so then they'll be ready. I'm just looking for my scissors. Why can't I find my scissors? Oh, they're right there because I'm blind apparently. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut between each butterfly so they're easier to cut out. The yellow one is, the middle one is the one we're going to use on this card if you just want to cut the first one. And as I often do, I'm going to leave about a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch of the background around the edge of the butterfly. I hope everybody who recently bought the these scissors are enjoying them. They do have a nice sharp blade, which you would think is pretty standard with scissors, but I bought some household scissors recently and they don't really have that sharp of a blade. But I don't use them for cutting paper, so it's okay. Or I should say I don't use them for detail cutting. All right, so when you get around to the top, just want to be careful about the antenna because this butterfly does have antenna. They're just they don't stick out a lot, and they're pretty. I guess the lines aren't bold. Which actually makes it a lot easier to cut out the fact that they are closer to the head and the wing and not. I guess that was a big controversy recently. Like there was some antenna on one of the product, and I'm totally blanking as to what it was, or butterflies on them, and they didn't have antenna because they were cut out and they would like bend and fall off, and people were like outraged that the butterflies didn't have antenna. And it was like, well, yeah, but it was kind of a practical matter. And I don't know. People can get worked up over the craziest things. So this is one of those elements that I'm gonna use my foam tape on. Just be careful because those blades on these scissors are so sharp, they will cut your skin. Okay. Just taking off the backing paper off that foam tape. And I am putting it on the right side here. The bottom right wing is going to overlap that striped paper. That's all you got to do. All right, I am going to go ahead and cut out these other butterflies so that they're ready to go when we need them. Now this one, I'm going to go ahead and zigzag around these wings a bit, but you don't have to. You can cut a smooth curve around them if you'd like. These antennas stick up a little more, so be careful when you come around. I'm just looking to see how I did. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut around both of them first. And then I'm going to cut it, after I cut around the rest of the butterfly, I'm going to go in and cut between a little bit between the V formed by those antennae. So that there's less of a chance of me messing them up, for lack of a better word, as I handle it while I'm cutting the piece. Okay, so now that I've cut it out, I'm just going to go ahead and cut a little bit of that V out and cut a little better around those antennae. And this guy. And this one, I'm gonna, again, the antennae are close to the wings, so I'm not gonna cut between them and the wings, but I'm cutting a bit of a V between them. So those aren't too bad to cut out. All right. Move on to our next card, which is the typewriter. So again, we're going to use peach cardstock. And Desert Rose glitter paper. We got 2 pieces of it. And we're gonna gonna look for our PML card that has this border on it. That's kind of it's actually toffee beige color, and we're going to use the mist, the bluey gray color, and our typewriter. Last one in the stack there, and then we are going to use this large card, which should be the first one in the stack right now, and with the banners. So there's 2 sides with banners, and as we have many times in the past, what we're going to do is cut our banners out, and I'm just going to cut. Luckily, they are printed so that you can use the banner cluster on each side of the card. So I'm just cutting those out now. So they're ready to go. And they're straight lines, so they're pretty easy to cut. Should have just cut straight down that card there. It would have been a little easier. Excuse me for a minute. My phone is making vibrating noises, and I'm just going to shut that off. All right, and now I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to cut out these banners, which is on the pink side, and these banners are actually the banners we're going to use on this card. And seems a little crazy, but I think we are going to use, might be using a piece of what's left of this aligned card. I want to say that I used a little piece of it. So I could be wrong, but don't throw it away yet. Okay, so this is the banner cluster we're going to use. It has the green card. The green banner on the right. So, okay, so I am going to move that over here because I'm starting to run out of room. Put my butterflies and my other banners up there so I can get them when I need them. And these are the pieces I need for this card. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is score and fold our card. So this is the peach cardstock. It's 11 inches long. It is the darker side that we're putting into the scoreboard. The 11-inch side at the top, score at 5.5 inches. Whoops. I scored at 5.5 the first time, and then when I put it back in, my burnisher jumped over to the next line. If that ever happens, go ahead and turn your cardstock over and lightly, don't press down like you really like you're really scoring it. But if you kind of rub, and this only works if you have the ball tip stylus, and you can kind of rub over that incorrect score line, and it practically erases it. And then you can go ahead and burnish. And you can see that it's kind of there, but it's faint. So it's no big deal. And on the inside, you can just burnish again. You know, you can see a little faint, but you can't really see it on camera, but it saves your cardstock. I mean, sometimes the cardstock is so heavy that you can't do that, but with our cardstock, you can. And I don't think anybody's going to really notice when you send the card. All right. Next, we are going to cut our typewriter card here. So we're just going to trim 1/2 inch off of each side. So we're going to go put our typewriter in, so it's right side up, into our paper trimmer. This is a 4-inch wide card. We're going to cut at 3.5 inches. and cut a 1/2 inch off the right side. Then we're going to go ahead and turn it upside down. We're going to put it at 3 inches, cut a 1/2 inch off the left side, and now we have a 3x3 image. And that's all we have to trim. But the other piece we do need is our striped, the other piece of striped cardstock, striped PML card left over from this card here. So we are going to use that. And I think we have all our pieces now. So the first piece we'll put on is our card with our border. We're going to put this on the bottom left side of the card, leaving our 1/8 inch border on the card base of the card base. The next piece we're going to put down is our rectangle of glitter paper. We're going to put this above the card we just put on. You're going to put, you're going to have it about a 3/8 inch border to the left and an 1/8 inch border at the top. So an 1/8 inch from the, an 1/8 inch from the top. My workspace keeps moving to the right here. So 1/8 inch at the top, about 3/8 inch from the left side. Okay, then we're going to put our strip of glitter paper on. And we're going to put that all the way on the right edge of the card. Oops, mine is a little long. Yours might be a little long too. Sometimes I cut them a little long if they're supposed to be the exact size of the card so that they don't get cut short. And then you can just go ahead and trim the excess. And and then we're going to put it on our striped cardstock. And again, we want those narrow horizontal stripes. So we're going to put this up right next to the glitter paper. Again, the height of the card. So the next two pieces are the typewriter and the banners. Those both get foam tape. So go ahead and put foam tape on. The only thing on the banner, don't put it right against the edge. You can put it pretty close, but leave at least 1/8 of an inch of space because it's just slightly going to overlap that typewriter card very less than 1/8 of an inch. So I'm sure you're not necessarily in the habit of putting your foam tape right on the edge of the cardstock, but just in case. I'm just going to cut a narrower piece just so it's along that bottom there of that banner. Okay, so I'm going to take the backing paper off of the typewriter first. All right, and I'm going to put this so it is centered top to bottom on the card and centered left to right on the border of the PML card. So I'm kind of centered left to right this way on that card between the border, and then centered left to right overall on the card base. It kind of gives you an equal spaced border on the three sides of this card, and it overlaps that glitter paper. So now I'm going to take the backing paper off of the foam tape that I put on the banners. And this piece, the banners, I'm going to line up the edge, the right edge of the green banner with the left edge of the glitter paper, and the top of the banners are going to be lined up with the top of the card. So it's lined up with the glitter paper, so all the glitter paper is showing, top of the card, and then it overlaps these, the typewriter just slightly. And that's it. All right, I'm going to put this up here so I have a little more room. Okay, so these next couple of cards, I did something a little different. So this is mulberry colored cardstock. We've got some mulberry glitter paper. Let's find our PML cards and then I'll explain the different thing I did. All right, so we are going to need this PML card here, which is one of the larger ones. It's at the back of the stack right now. So it's that card. Then we need our Eiffel Tower. And then we have our butterfly and our banners because we already cut those out. And I just want to get my cutting. We'll go for my cutting directions quick so I can make sure I cut this card exactly right for you. Okay. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is score our card. Now, almost always we score our card in half. So we've got equal front and back. That's what I did different on this card. So if you'll notice, the top portion, the front of the card, is actually shorter than the back. I did this for two reasons. One, because it's interesting and it gives us this nice extra surface to work on. The other thing is this piece of cardstock is 12 inches tall, which of course is how big our cardstock is. If you wanted to make, this is a 5x7 card. This is a 5x7 card. This 5x7 works on a 12x12 piece of paper. You can cut that cardstock out. You only get one card from a 12x12 piece of paper. But because it opens this way, it's 10x7. So you're good. If you want a card that opens at the top, if you wanted it to be 5x7, you've got the 5, but it would actually have to be 14 inches tall to be in half. So this is what I came up with. We're going to put our cardstock in with the lighter side facing us. Let me move my tools so I can actually put this down flat. 12-inch side at the top, lighter side facing you. We're going to score at 5 inches. So we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish at that 5 inches. And now we have that shorter flap. Now, I've done other things before, like add another piece of paper here. I just had an idea for something else I'm going to do, so I'm not going to tell you yet. But, you could make the card 6x5, but I thought this was just fun, something different. Okay, so next we're going to use the Eiffel Tower card as is, but we are going to cut this floral card, and we're going to use both pieces we cut off, but so we want to be careful about how we cut it. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I felt it coming. But we want, I kind of tried to center this floral design on the card. So we just want to be careful about how we cut it. So we're going to go ahead and put it in our paper cutter. This is 4 inches tall. We're going to rotate it so the top of the card is on the left, bottom of the card is on the right, and we're going to cut at 2 inches. So we're cutting it in half, okay? So this is the bottom of the card. Put this aside for now. We're going to use it on the next card. Right now, we're just going to use the top of the card. Okay, so this space below the top flap is 2 inches. So to cut, to fit our decorative paper in there, we want it 1 3/4 inches. But the flowers are already centered quite well. Sorry, my nose. Okay. On here. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut 1/8 of an inch from both the top and the bottom. It's currently 2 inches tall. We're going to cut at 1 7/8. The top, so we put the top in. Actually, it doesn't matter which way you put it in, but I put it in so that I'm cutting the top off and cutting it at 1 7/8, and then I'm turning it around 180 180 degrees, and I'm putting it at 1 3/4, cutting 1/8 off in that side. So now it's 1 3/4 inches tall. Guess what? You get to throw away those 2 little pieces. We're not going to use those. I know you're excited. Okay, so our card is 5 inches wide. So we now need this piece to be 4 3/4 inches wide. It is currently 6. So we need to cut off 1 1/4 inches. Am I killing you with this math, or should I just give you the measurements? So we want to cut off 5/8 of an inch from each side. So it's currently 6 inches wide. This is how we do it to keep it centered. We cut off the same amount off of each side. So it is, we're cutting off 5/8 from each side. So we are cutting we're cutting it at 5 3/8. So again, we're cutting the same amount off at each side. It doesn't matter which way you put it in, but I'm putting it in so that the top of the flowers are at the top, at the ruler of your cutting board. And we're going to cut it at 5 3/8. And then we're going to turn it around 180 degrees, and we're going to cut it at 4 3/4. And then we have our floral designs basically centered. Gotta say, not every card is printed exactly the same way, but they're pretty close. So all of these scraps we can throw away. And that's all the cutting we have to do. So let me go over that again, just in case, because I know I threw a lot of numbers at you. So let me pretend this card is together just to give you another chance. So we put the card in with the top on the left. We cut at 2 inches, cut it in half. Put the bottom piece aside, save the top half. Put it in with the top on the left and cut at 1 7/8. Turn it around, cut with the bottom at 1 3/4, cut off another 1/8 of an inch. So now this is 1 3/4 inches tall. Now we're going to cut off each side. So we put it back into the paper cutter with the top at the top and cut at 5 3/8. I'm going to turn it around 180 degrees so the bottom of the flower is at the top. And we're finally going to cut at 4 3/4. So the piece you have is 1 3/4 by 4 3/4. And now we can put adhesive on that. And we're going to center it in this space at the bottom below the flap. Perfect. And hopefully that's explained well in the directions. If you need to look, you need a visual along with my instructions, verbal instructions. Okay, so next we're going to put on our Eiffel Tower card. keeping this original size. And we are putting it on the top flap, at the bottom of the flap. So you have your 1/8 inch spacing on the right and at the bottom. So if you're just looking at the flap, that's the spacing you're looking at. Then when you bring it over the back of the card, that's what you got. We've got 2 different length pieces of mulberry glitter paper. The longer piece is going to go along the top, of the Eiffel Tower card. You are going to just butt up glitter paper, the bottom of it against the top of the card. Should be the exact same length. If it's a little longer, it doesn't, on this side, it doesn't matter. So start on that side. Actually, if it's a little shorter, it doesn't matter either because you see it's going to be covered up. Okay. So now we've got our shorter piece, which is going to go along the left edge of the card. Start lining it up at the bottom, bring it up. My pieces are the exact right size, and you know they're the exact right size because it doesn't matter if they're the exact right size. Whoops. So you're going to cover up both edges, and that square, if we weren't putting anything there, then we would want to probably extend one of those pieces to square up the corner, but that corner is going to be covered up, so no need. We are going to put some foam tape on our banner cluster, and this is the banner with the blue one, the blue striped banner on the right, and then our pink butterfly. So I'm going to go ahead and put foam tape on each of those pieces. Okay, I'm going to put my banners on first. I'm going to just take my backing paper off. And just like we did on the other card, we're going to align the top of the banners with the top of the card, which is the fold, and put it 1/8 of an inch away from the left edge of the card. So align the top edges, whoops, and 1/8 of an inch on the left, which should mean you're not covering up the tip of the Eiffel Tower. If you have to move your banners over a little bit to the left to not cover up that tip, go ahead and do so. Or I suppose you could cut your banner a little bit short. And then we've got our butterfly. Excuse me. And we're going to put that just to the left of the banners. The tip of that top left wing will overlap the banner a little bit, bottom here will overlap the Eiffel Tower card. And there you go. Okay, now we're going to the next card is similar. And this one you should only have the cardstock. You don't have any other pieces in your envelope. Move this aside. We've got our mist cardstock. We are going to score and fold it the same way. We have the darker side up towards us in the scoreboard, 12 inches wide, but we're going to score at 5 inches. And then we're going to fold and burnish. And we've got the same flap and the same style. And we're going to go ahead and use the other piece of the PML card that we just cut. And we're going to do some more cutting the same way, or similar anyway, but I'll go through that in a minute. Let's find our other 2 PML cards here. On top now we have the best things in life aren't things. And then the large card, which is back in my stack right now, is this floral card. And we're actually going to use the white side. Excuse me. By the way, I was wrong. We are not using the rest of this card. So if you cut it apart, it's fine. I must have been remembering that from another card stock. Sorry about that. Class workshop. Okay, so what we're going to do on this card is cut out this corner of flowers. Now, we are not going to use the back of it, but I almost did, because this flower cluster we don't use that corner. So I cut, oh, sorry, I'm not, see, I cut out that and I almost used it on a card and I didn't, but I have it because at some point I probably will use it on a card. But concentrate on this side first, because this is the side that's important. And what I'm going to do is just cut around all these leaves and petals, leaving, actually what I'm going to do first here is I'm going to roughly cut around here, and then I have less excess to worry about. And you can see I still have those flowers there if you want to save them. All right, so now as I cut around these leaves and petals, I don't have a lot of excess to worry about. So as I come around these two buds, I am going to cut out the two buds and cut out the space around them, but I'm not going to go in down there and cut out that white space. I'm just going to leave that intact. And I'm going to come around the right side of this bud and then come up around these petals. And if you have to cut wider and then go back and cut narrower, that's fine, whatever easier for you. So see, I'm leaving that intact. I am going to go down around these petals a little more. Which will allow me to cut out that line. But that's up to you. These scissors are good for that little pointy area. So I cut out this piece, but I'm leaving this piece. You can see on here. And I'm just going back in and fixing some of the area that I left a little extra white space around. Sometimes it's easier to leave a bigger border and then go back and clean it up a little. Okay. I did go between these flowers, this papaya flower and the yellow one. But if you don't want to get that precise, that's fine. Even if I didn't say it's fine, right? Because I'm not watching you, so I don't see what you're doing. And quite frankly, even if I was watching you, I wouldn't tell you you were wrong. So just what you want to do. Some people love fussy cutting and some people hate fussy cutting. Some people get annoyed when you call it fussy cutting. I am not a huge fan of it, but I don't mind doing it like here once in a while. Now, would I want to make 100 of these cards or even a dozen of these cards with all this cutting? No, probably not. But, well, definitely not 100. Probably not a dozen. But I don't mind doing it once in a while, especially when you're really going to love the look of it. And there you go. All right, I'm just going to okay, so we've got this cut out. This best things in life aren't things, doesn't need to be cut out. So now we just have to finish cutting this portion of the card, which was the bottom half of the card. When it was intact. So okay, so this card, again, this is 2 inches. So we're going to cut an 1/8 off the top and an 1/8 off the bottom because we want it to be 1 7/8. So go ahead and put it in your paper cutter at 1 7/8. So I've got the top in. I'm cutting it at 1 7/8, and then I'm turning it around 180 degrees. I'm putting the bottom in at 1 3/4. And then the other one, we cut 5/8 of an inch off each side, and we did that to center the design. In this case, if we do that, we're actually cutting off 2 flowers. Whereas if we just cut off one edge, we get to keep 4 flowers. So that's how, and then it's still just about centered by doing that. It's because the way the design is printed on the card, these ovals, for lack of a better shape, are staggered at the top and the bottom. So that's what makes our cutting different. So in this case, we're just going to cut off of the right side of the card. So we're going to put it in our paper cutter with the top against the ruler, and we're going to position it at 4 3/4. And we're just going to make the one cut and see it's basically centered the design that's left. And again, you can throw away these little scraps because we aren't going to use them. Okay. So now we just need to assemble. And so we're going to put this piece on first. We're going to put this at the bottom of the card, below the flap, centered in that space below the flap. And it should fit perfectly. Next piece we're going to put on is this best thing. The best things in life aren't things. We're using the mulberry side. Don't know why I just said it like that. Top right corner of the card, 1/8 inch spacing at the top and the right. And our flower corner, we're going to put on with foam tape. So we're going to cut a whole lot of little pieces of foam tape to put on all of these flowers that are sticking out. So I'm going to cut some skinnier pieces. So they fit in the skinnier spacing. And then you get some wider flowers, so you can put some of the wider pieces. I got one more really skinny spot there, so. And that just helps support it when you're putting it up with foam tape. And now I can put some bigger pieces around the outside, the other edges rather. I didn't put a piece there. All right, that should cover it quite well. And now I'm just going to take off all that backing paper. Okay, and we are going to put this in the bottom corner of the flap, 1/8" spacing, the left and the bottom, and it frames that sentiment quite nicely. And there we go. Whoops. We've only got one card left. This one a little faster than I thought it would. Of course, I may have gone faster than you would prefer, but if you haven't kept up, you can always go back and watch. This last card here, again, there are no extra pieces in your envelope. It's just the cardstock. And this is called Honey Butter cardstock. The card is going to be folded the same way that we just did on the last two. So it's 12 inches long. Got foam tape backing paper everywhere. And we're going to score it 5 inches. This, did I just say that this cardstock color is called Honey Butter? It's beautiful yellow. The lighter side facing you. Sorry about that. I'll give you a minute in case you were hesitant. Lighter side facing you when you score. Okay, so we're going to use most of the PML cards that are left for this one. We've got our Joy, our 3 florals, our script, which we're going to use the blue side. And then we're going to use our kind of scattered floral card here also. The only 2 cards you should have left are this large one that says Notes and this one, both of which are nice for the insides of cards. This one in particular I thought was interesting, and I didn't end up using it, but I thought you could use the whole thing on the inside of a card. Well, unless it's a larger size card, you'd have to trim it a little. But I also thought they would be interesting to cut out like each of these rectangles, with the stitched lines, or if you prefer this side, you could use this. I thought they would be interesting. You could cut a couple of them together, or you could cut them each individually, and you could put a message either stamped or written in each of the blocks. I thought that would be a fun thing to do with them, but I didn't. So save that definitely. And this card you could just use either side and write a message on. Or if you're a scrapbooker, you can use them for your scrapbooking, which is what they are intended for, but we don't have to use them for their original use. And all the other strips I had you save, we didn't end up using, but they would be perfect as accents on the inside of the card or on other cards. So you can save them or throw them out, whatever you wish. Okay, so these 3 smaller cards, we are going to use the original size, so we're not going to cut those. We're also going to use that last butterfly. But this joy, we are going to cut just like we cut these flower pieces. We need to cut them so that they are 1 in 1 3/4 inches tall, 4 3/4 inches wide. So the way we're going to cut this, I'll give you a measurement, but just check on it. Basically, we want to just cut off this white border that's above the joy. So when I put it in my paper cutter to cut off the border, I have it at about 3 and it's a little more than 3 3/4, but less than 3 7/8. If you have the smaller measurements there, that's 13/16. 3 13/16. But it's the line, it's the little tiny line between the 3 3/4 and the 3 7/8. But if you put it at 3 3/4, it would definitely cut off that white line. So it's your judgment. Basically, we just want that white line cut off. We are then going to turn it around and we're going to cut it so it's 1 3/4 inches tall. You are going to see a little bit of that what's that called? It's where they spell out the pronunciation of a word from the dictionary definition. You'll see a little bit of that, but not enough that it bothers me. Okay, so again, we want to center this word. So we're going to cut off the same on the left and the right. And in this case, it's 5/8 of an inch. So if you put it in with the joy upright, you're going to put it at 5 3/8 and cut off a border. And you're going to turn it around 180 degrees and cut off another 5/8. The measurement is actually 4 3/4. And we've got the size we need. And just like we did on the other 2 cards, we're going to center that in this area here below the flap. 1/8 inch border around all 4 sides. All right, so the first card that goes on is this blue script. It is going to go into the bottom left-hand corner of the flap. 1/8 inch border on left and bottom. So we've got that. The next piece that goes on is this floral and butterfly toss. on the black. Now, I decided it was upright. See up here? There's that little butterfly on the right. Just white flowers next to it. And then over here, that other butterfly. And you're going to see, that's what you're going to see most. So those were upright. So that's what I determined to be the top of my card. So we're going to put this in the top right corner of the card flap. Again, 1/8 inch spacing at the top and the right. And we've got those two little butterflies at the top. All we have left to put on is our triple floral card. Whoops. And our blue butterfly. And we're going to put those on both on with foam tape. I really liked this floral on the back too. Sometimes it is very hard to choose which side of the card to use, which I guess is why they do it, right? To encourage you to buy 2 packs so you can use both sides. I suppose that would be interesting to do someday is do a workshop with both 2 packs, and then you could do both sides and see the differences, but it does get a little pricey, and I don't know if you guys want to do that many cards. All right, I'm going to try to cut a little skinny piece to put on the antenna. I did not on my sample card because it is awfully skinny, but oh, look it, I did. I managed to cut it skinny enough. You just got to be careful about how you put it in the envelope to make sure you don't bend those back. This one is so skinny it doesn't want to, well, it's stuck to my finger because the backing paper shifted. Here's the other piece. And so it's stuck to my finger and there's not enough adhesive there to stick to the paper. There's a difficult word to remember, right? Oh, I should have told you. When putting adhesive on the butterfly, do not put it on the bottom left wing here. So I'm going to take that piece off because that's going to overlap and we don't want to get two layers of foam tape in that corner. So if you put it on there, just take it off like I just did. All right, so I'm going to take the backing paper off of the foam tape on the card first. And I am going to go ahead and I am placing it about 1/8 of an inch above the edge of the blue card and about 1/8 of an inch to the left of the right edge, of the black card. which gives you a quarter of, or about a quarter of an inch of yellow on the right and the bottom here of this bottom right corner. Okay, and then I've taken the backing paper off the foam tape on the butterfly. And we're going to position this up here, the top left. That bottom left wing gets overlaps the floral card. And there we go. And that's it. That's all our cards. It wasn't too bad. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you love your cards as much as I do. This collection is just beautiful. And the paper that coordinates with the cards is beautiful too. I mean, look at that sheet of paper. It's so beautiful. And then there's wonderful coordinating. Look at the back of this one too. Oh, sorry. This is not the, this is the bulk paper. That means that's just paper I can get to do workshops with, that they're all the same. Hold on, let me show you. Here, this was the other piece I wanted to show you, which is a lot of fun too. So if you're interested in this pack, it is still available through, it's supposed to be available through the through June, but I honestly would not. And there's some yellow floral. I wouldn't be surprised if it sold out. So if you want some, think about it. The next cards coming up are Hey Handsome on June 6th. They are also done with PML cards. Totally different, well, not totally different colors, but most of the colors are different. And a lot of these can be used for men, but don't all have to be. So I know I gave the deadline as Sunday, but I haven't ordered the supplies yet. So if you do want to take the class, let me know. And then I'm working on some more samples, and I am trying to, I know I'm setting the classes farther out and giving you deadlines on when to register. And that's just because of the time it's taking me to get supplies. And I want to make sure I get those supplies and then turn around and get them back out to you in time to take the classes. So you have to do them live, or so you have them to do the classes live if you want to. So I will be in touch. Thanks so much for joining me tonight, and I hope to see you soon. And if you have if you remember, have a minute, give me a thumbs up on the video. Thanks so much.